Yeah. You guys tend to have discussions with folks that, to put it generally, lie politically to your right. I was wondering if you'd be interested in having a discussion with somebody who lies politically to your left.
Sure. I mean, I think I do that, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not saying you don't do it. But basically, what I wanted to call in about is something that's been bugging me. Basically, I don't think it's reasonable to say that there is a feasible path to justice through the mechanism of our liberal democracy. And that's basically my thesis. And then I have several, points that I can use to back that up.
Okay. Let's hear 'em.
So basically, yeah. So you were just talking about how the judicial wing of our government is not going to be within the reach of liberal, much less leftist, goals or aims for the next 20 years, probably.
I mean, I think that's...
And any... What?
I mean, I think there's a very strong case that you're correct in that. Yes.
Yeah.
But since these guys are all pedophiles, they might just get caught and have to step down. So.
Right.
Well, God willing.
Right.
So that brings us to, that's 1/3 of the government that we can't use, right? In order to achieve our goals. Correct. We probably agree on most things. So, the legislative branch is, it's reasonable that we'll hold the House. It's possible the Democrats can take the Senate.
Correct.
But even Bernie Sanders, as of yet, does not oppose the filibuster directly.
Right.
So it's less likely that those levers of power will be open to progressive goals. And I would make the contention that if Bernie Sanders is elected president, which I believe is very possible and it's something we should aspire toward, but it doesn't make sense that, or rather, I would postulate that the filibuster will remain in place if and only if Bernie Sanders is elected, because the people that he is going to be opposed to politically are more likely going to be Democrats than Republicans in terms of the actual passing of legislation.
Well, I know what you're saying. Yes. Okay, let me stipulate this so that we can move this along. I think yes,
sure.
For the sake of this argument, the court system definitely going to be an adversary to progressive change at the very least for 20 years. If Bernie Sanders becomes president, the absence or the inclusion, it's more likely that the filibuster will be there because it's a perfect cover for Democrats who want to thwart his agenda. And so, okay, with all that stipulated, go make your case.
Yeah. So, in order for there to be any meaningful change for, I would say probably most groups in America, if you're looking at gender equality, wage equality, racial equality, any class consciousness, in order for any of those to be meaningfully progressed or achieved, it is going to require a fundamentally different governmental system. The one that we have can neither become nor can it allow to become a just system for members of our society.
So what would that system be?
And frankly, the world.
What would that system be?
Well, if you're asking me, Sam, I'm a Marxist-Leninist, but so I think that we're going to disagree what that terminus looks like, but I think our goals are the same.
Right. Well, here's the thing: is that here's where I think where I would disagree, and I don't know if this is I guess it is an argument from the left, but the likelihood of whatever that new system of government that you're talking about coming into existence seems to me to be smaller than the likelihood that we can reform the judiciary, or that Bernie Sanders changes his mind on the filibuster, or that he has the ability to go to West Virginia and convince Joe Manchin to give in on one or two things. I mean, I don't know what meaningful means to you, but like I can think of, even if I put myself in the mindset of they're going to stop Bernie on everything they can, and I'm talking about Democrats, okay? Even if I put myself in that mindset, things like DACA, things like DAPA, things like an expansion of where we are in healthcare, things like $15 minimum wage, things like expansion of Social Security. These are all things that I think are going to happen, even if they fight Bernie on the biggest of things that he wants to fight on. And I think those are meaningful. I mean, I don't think that they're fundamental in the way maybe that you're talking about, but I do think they're meaningful.
Can I make a quick point?
Yes.
I'm not trying to...
Hold on for 1 second.
Sorry.
So I'm of the belief that the Democratic Party fundamentally is the problem. And I think a lot of folks don't really, I spent a lot of time on the process of the Democratic Party for a reason, because people don't understand how it works and the rules aren't out there. But the reason I say that is, you know, in the early 80s, late 70s, when the Koch brothers started investing in state legislatures and the Republican Party taking over the judiciary, taking over, you know, legislatures and, you know, taking away our rights, which we see today still. That was also the same time when the Democratic Party decided, oh, guess what? We're going to become a centralized party and we're not going to invest in states. And then it got worse and worse and worse. And so we've been losing these battles as they've been making ground. It's why I believe, like, we really have to understand how the DNC is structured and functions, because they're setting the tone for the DCCC and for, you know, our investment in and the message and what kind of candidates and polls are done. It really does have this effect. And I look at the membership of the DNC and I'm like, there are 30 bad actors holding this all up. So if you want to have a real revolution, good luck fighting the military-industrial complex with your you know, small little army. How about you take on the 30 people through ideology and calling them out that are holding up everything in the DNC, because they're lobbyists for the weapons manufacturers and for the oil companies, and they're the ones setting the tone on everything in insurance companies.
Hold that thought, because I want to return to that in terms of like just sort of from a process standpoint. But okay, so just respond to that idea that any of the fundamental change that you're talking about is more apt to happen than the reasons that you and I've stipulated prevent that change within the context of the system we have.
Well, I will try to respond to it as directly as I can, but the reason that I feel so strongly about this, what is essentially a political shot at the moon, is that we have like 20 years, maybe, left of society if we don't do something about climate change. You know, like we have 20 years left to do something. Like there are people dying already every day in the beleaguered and exploited global South because we refuse to take action, and we're concerned with things like the petty actions of a party. And the more we fight about that, the more that we don't fix this. Like,
okay, I mean, but this is all preamble. I mean, get to what. So you believe that, you know, we should swing for the fences, but I want to know like what the odds are for. I want to know what that constitutes, and then what you think the odds are. Right. I honestly don't know what the odds are. Okay. That's what's terrifying about it. All right. Well, what constitutes, what is it you're talking about? Oh, sorry. You broke up briefly. Would you mind repeating that question? What are you talking about? So you're saying that our current system is not going to work. Give me the alternative so that we can assess whether it's actually like, I mean, you know, I could give you an alternative too. I have magical powers. I
Right.
can control everything through my mind, and I change everything. I just pick a day and boom, then everybody shows up. It's like Freaky Friday
No.
and everything changes. What is your solution?
Yeah. Well, mine is slightly less fantastic. I just believe that
Good.
it would require an organic movement